Hey everybody, and welcome to another top 10 list with me, Iadarola and Francesca Fiorentini. Francesca, thank you for being here.
No problem. Excited
Today
for
we're
this
gonna
one.
do, what's that?
I'm excited.
You should be, because we're finally gonna do one of the things we keep saying we're gonna do, which is return to one of our lists and do another installment. We constantly say that, we're finally doing it. And it's our top 10 problematic faves. Obviously, this is top 10 of ones we haven't already talked about, but they're things that we enjoy or like, but a little bit problematic for one reason or another, as we'll get into. I know you are hiding apparently a deep dark secret. I have one that I'm really uncomfortable about. Most of them I'm okay with. I have one that I'm pretty uncomfortable about considering recent events. We'll get to that soon.
You're like AR-15s.
Exactly.
Love them.
No, not quite. So what's your number 5?
Well, yes, it's leading up to the one that when I told Matt, my husband, when I told him like, oh, we just did problematic faves, he was like, well, did you do that one? And I was like, oh, I buried that one deeper in my subconscious. So I'll lead up to that one. But number 5, let's go with we'll mix it up. Things. Makeup, I think, is generally problematic, and I like it. Look, I like Sephora. I think I used to hate it. I don't love staying that long in a Sephora necessarily, but once you get into makeup, it's like drugs, it is, mascara is a gateway drug to eyeliner, is a gateway drug. Suddenly you're doing your eyebrows and you're baking and you're like, what is that? And you're contouring, etc. But
baking is.
Exactly. And so I think it has to do with being on camera a lot, that I generally like want to look nice. And then it has to do with having had a makeup artist who is professional, who taught me, and now I do it on my own. Sometimes I go a little overboard. It's usually because I'm like trying to do something different. But the packaging, it's not all organic. It's not all, made with 2 rocks being rubbed together. Like who knows what's in it. And so, it's generally, it makes me feel good. I think a lot of people who wear makeup makes you feel good. If you don't wear makeup, I encourage even just a little bit of like, tinted SPF. But it can be problematic. It's super problematic in a lot of ways.
Yeah. If men did, I'd be totally fine with it. It would. Why don't we? It would make us look better, right? I mean, that's the whole point of it.
JR does. Wow. He looks great.
You're gonna be problematic for him. Anyway, it's interesting. I thought the reason it was gonna be problematic for you was gonna be something having to do with like abiding by patriarchal notions of beauty, or that women should be judged based on always being as physically beautiful as. Okay, interesting.
No, because we do it for us. We do it for other women. No, I mean, look. If everyone were as wealthy and beautiful as Alicia Keys, and we could be like, I'm not doing this anymore. You're like, I get it, girl. But some of us are trying to get clicks.
Yeah. Okay. I do have an item that's coming up soon. It's Dayquil. No, I'm kidding. So I'm starting off with some pop culture stuff initially. And the only reason this is on the list is because I was on a flight home from my trip and I saw this on the list of movies, and so I decided to watch it. And I had no idea how problematic this movie was. It's a classic. I was exactly the right age when this movie came out, but it's Charlie's Angels.
Oh.
Do you know why that's problematic? Well, I mean,
I know I've never seen that movie, but I know that like Bill Murray was an utter SOB to like Lucy Liu, and
I heard that. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. That's true. So there's all the stuff about this being supposedly about female empowerment, but it's all entirely made for guys, and I was that guy, and still am actually. It turns out, because they are very beautiful. That man. Anyway, yeah, fan of Lucy Liu, and also what's her face? What was the blonde woman? I'm forgetting her name now.
Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz. She was at her peak at that point of just like so sweet and bubbly. Anyway, that's not why it's problematic though. It is as if there was a challenge to do as much cultural appropriation as you could fit into one movie. They pretend to be Asian multiple times in the movie, like distinct different scenes. And I think
that's
either
amazing.
Egyptian or Indian, that's a separate thing.
That's amazing.
There's sumo wrestling. Cameron Diaz and Drew Barrymore are wearing black wigs and like kimonos and stuff. And that's separate from the sumo wrestling scene. Like,
that's so funny.
Drew Barrymore is LL Cool J wearing a literal black face at one point.
No, they do blackface in Charlie's Angels?
Well, she's wearing a mask of LL Cool J.
Oh, that's funny.
So he was in the movie. And then Cameron Diaz goes on a date to Soul Train, and she's the white girl dancing on the stage. And then like the main guy, Sam Rockwell, is doing this dance that like clearly is, anyway, there's a lot of cultural appropriation in it. It's got other problems too. You know, they stole the wire fu and everything, but whatever, everyone was doing that after the Matrix. But it's still, I like it. It's good.
That's really funny.
I've seen it so many times.
Really? I haven't seen it once.
It's like it like defines high school for me, is that sort of movie and that vibe. Like Tom Green was in it. Like it's that sort of time, you know?
Yeah. It was like Road Trip, like the first of the male bromances.
Yeah.
And then like this is definitely about female empowerment, but like in a Spice Girls way, in a like
sort of, yeah, very much. Like Beyonce did the song for it, the Destiny's Child.
Girl power. Yeah. Although that's the best thing I know from that song.
There you go.
Right? Wasn't that Charlie, how your angels get down like that?
That
Great
is 100% what it is.
How do your angels get down like that?
Yeah. Anyway, and how they get down is mostly just they're wearing skimpy stuff. That's how they get down.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my number 5.
And appropriating cultures, but
so
doing
much.
it hot.
I didn't list everything. There was other stuff too. Anyway.
God. Okay, number 4 for me is a person. It's like a person, place, or thing. Mick Jagger is a total douchebag. Like that guy is such a piece of work. He clearly has, I don't know how many kids he's got with how many different like women. Sadly, his last wife did, I believe, like commit suicide, something awful. But anyway, he's like a notorious womanizer. He had, like, Carly Simon wrote her song "You're So Vain" about him. I saw him in 50 Feet from Stardom, which is about backup singers, and he's being interviewed about the song "Gimme Shelter." And he's like, yeah, so the ladies did their thing, they sang a song. And you're like, what do you mean they just did their thing and sang a song? Apparently the whole story is like they were woken up in the middle of the night. It was like they had to record all night long. It was an amazing recording. And I obviously, because I'm an asshole, I'm forgetting the name. Sorry, but I'm forgetting the name of the woman who sings the hook. But just like, so Mick Jagger is just like, I think a disrespectful like
douche
D-bag. And yet I love him. Like I love the Rolling Stones. I love Mick Jagger. I like the way he dances. I like that he's like 80 and has like the most incredible waistline of your life. He could still, like, he probably still could get it. Like I wouldn't say no.
He's a fossil.
He's a fossil, but he's Mick effing Jagger. And he's like, it's just, you can't deny it. You can't fight the funk. But yes, it's problematic.
Yeah, my music tastes were more into like soundtrack to Charlie's Angels, really more than Mick Jagger.
Yes, very cultured.
Anyway, yeah.
What else was on
I don't know much about it.
What else was on that?
There was a scene where like it was supposed to be empowering that they were beating up a guy to smack my bitch up, but he's also hitting women during it, so it's kind of, that's muddled. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I don't know much about Mick Jagger, but I've heard he is troubled in some ways. Yeah. My number 4, I'm not gonna say a ton about. It's an item, and there's no good time to admit this, but I hate how absolutist people are about lack of regulation for this. Because you guessed AR-15. No, it's just generally guns. I like shooting guns. I find gun technology interesting, and I also think that they should be highly regulated. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Technology is interesting.
Yeah, kind of. I don't want people to be shot with them, but I find them to be interesting. I do like guns. I like shooting guns. I don't want to hit anything living with a gun. And I think they should be able to be regulated. And I hate that so many people think that being a fan of guns means that you're terrified that Obama's gonna take it.
Do you own a gun?
So I don't own a gun right now, no.
Have you owned a gun?
I didn't. I had a gun that was mine. It was my father's, but it was mine whenever we went shooting, and I customized it and stuff. He had a bunch of guns.
Yeah. I don't like I've never shot a gun, and I don't really have a reason to like them or not, but I have a lot of reasons to not like them. So
yeah, that's true.
I guess I'm biased.
They do kill a lot of people.
They
that's
do.
True.
But I can understand, like I just think, and this somehow seems like insane to people. I just feel like just keep them in a place where you just store them in a place that's not your home, that you have access to, that someone who is authorized will then give you access to it, and you stay on the premises, you shoot, you go on, like it could be like a cool.
That's not good enough.
No, it's not good enough. You always have to have it because somehow you're always under attack, and that is such made up BS.
Yeah.
Anywho.
What's number 3?
Number 3, problematic, but of course it's undeniable. It's also ubiquitous. Disney. Disney. Disney Corporation, Disney brand, notoriously awful to even like its actors, its workers, to say nothing of the people who work in Disneyland, its cast members, in heavy quotations. I'm not a Disney chick. Like I don't go around with like a weird like Minnie Mouse backpack at the age of 40. Like just calm down, girl. You know what I mean? And like when my kid is born, I'm not gonna take like a newborn on the Pinocchio ride like you see, and you're like, what are you doing? Why is it like that kid's getting jostled?
The baby's not making memories right now.
There's no, exactly. This is not the happiest place on earth. This is like some kind of chronic condition waiting to happen, stems from the Magic Toad's Wild Ride, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. Anyway, blah blah blah. But I like Disney, and honestly, some movies like, when you see Turning Red, when you see, I do like the new Star Wars, I do like Mandalorian. I don't like everything that Disney does, but you're like, yeah, they know how to do film. Like they're getting this right. They've got the right. It looks high budget. It's good. It shows. Excuse me, and even some of the old stuff, So like I like this. Obviously I think they've done a good job with Star Wars. I like some of the old stuff. I'm like blanking. Like I don't obviously like all the like heteronormative like princess complex that Disney creates. But if you can get around that, which is very difficult as a woman, I like Disney.
It's been a little bit better more recently in that regard. Yeah, this is a good one. I should have thought of this because I think I like Disney probably more than you do. Like I like the old stuff and the Star Wars stuff, and Miss Marvel's great, and yeah, but they are problematic for a lot of different reasons. And historically, the racism and anti-Semitism and the labor stuff, and there's
Walt
a
was
lot.
a SOB.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues with them. But
unfreeze me when the white race is taken over again. Like
100%. I'm gonna just briefly my number 3 for probably fairly obvious reasons. I haven't seen this in a bit now, but I was really into it, and I'm sure that I still would be. But it's been ruined by the fan base. Fight Club.
Yes.
I liked Fight Club, and probably it says bad things about me that I did like it when I was a young man, but I don't want to be a fascist because of Fight Club. I just thought it was like an interesting movie with a cool twist, and I thought Helena Bonham Carter was good, and I thought that he had great abs. That was pretty much it. Like, but some people want to make a whole neo-Nazi thing out of it, and like they don't seem to have gotten any of the messages in it. I don't know.
100%. Oh my God, I agree so hard with you on that. That's such a good one because if you believe that you should be a fascist after that, you took all the wrong lessons from it. It's like a very anti-corporate message. They're like working against the machine. I mean, same thing with like people who misunderstand the red pill versus the blue pill, in the Matrix. But it's like, that's always like, if anything, unless you're like a left-wing anarchist, which like at certain points in my life I'm like, that's who should be appropriating, because they are anarchists. They're like insurrectionary anarchists who believe in like toppling the world order, but not like the one that's controlled by the Jews. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like
the actual one.
The actual one. Oh, it's such a great film. It's more than just abs. It's every single part of that movie is good. Okay.
I agree. I need to see it again.
Very
What's
good.
Number 2?
Number 2, let's be real. Number 2 is another person, and that is Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi.
Oh, good.
I just
like it.
Yeah, I love her as an actor. She's just incredible, right? None of her. I mean, name me a Whoopi movie that's missed. You just can't. And the fact that like she has so many misses on, like she's just kind of a grab bag on The View. Like sometimes you're like living for her responses, and other times you're like, what are you talking about? And then of course she defended Bill Cosby, which is not a good look. This was, a while ago, but like she is still problematic. She's a wealthy person with tons and tons of money, not a lot of, I think, real world experience, to be honest with you.
For decades at least. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish she would more openly talk about being a Black woman and like a queer Black woman. Like, you know what I mean? I wish she would make that more of a thing on The View. But I feel like she's been so neutered both by her fame, but I'm sure by her contract and the idea that they're pandering to a predominantly white sort of stay-at-home middle class, upper class audience, that she just has kind of random ass, reactionary opinions. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, sometimes I love the stuff she says, and sometimes it's just like, it's the most predictable Nancy Pelosi loving centrist. Let's not actually do anything BS, but sometimes it's not. Like it's like it's which side she slept on the night before.
Totally.
Like you never know if she's gonna be good or not.
Totally.
Yeah, that's a good one. I do really like her too. Like I love Sister Act so much I can't even tell you.
I mean,
and
come
she's
on,
great. Actually, she's going to appear on one of my entries in the next two.
Oh. So what's your number two?
My number two, though, is so some of these are highly ranked because they're really problematic. Some are because I really like them, but not as problematic. This one I really liked up until recently and very problematic. And it's an actor, and it is Johnny Depp.
Yes.
I really like him in the Pirates movie. I've seen all of the Pirates movies, and they stopped being good a long time ago. Mostly just because I like him, and I like him in the Willy Wonka stuff, and I like him in a lot of the stuff that he's done. It got a little bit repetitive and weird, and I like some of his older stuff too. I do genuinely like him, but I don't like anything about the position he holds in pop culture now. It's just all bad. The worst. Die before you become an icon to the shittiest people in the world. How about that?
It's very sad. I mean, I hope he can like shake this from his career and legacy, which again already was a little bit of a caricature of itself. Him just becoming like hats and scarves and rings,
eyelashes.
It's just exactly, and like makeup. But like, would I be lying if during the trial I didn't yell out at some point? It's like Amber hasn't even seen all the Pirates movies. Like, I was very much like, don't you dare talk about 21 Jump Street like that. Like there was a lot of, she was throwing, like if what he says alleges is true, her throwing shade at his career was like, like, don't you make me a crazy Depp fan. John, I saw Pirates #2 in the theater so many times. I've watched The Kiss with him. I watched The Kiss with him and Keira Knightley so many times because it's a great kiss. My God, so hot. Sorry, I gotta go be alone now.
Okay, you gotta finish the list first. You are my number one. You're my problematic fave. What's your number one?
Okay, this is a long story, and I will attempt to make it short. But for 4 years, between the ages of 16 and 20, and I'm not joking with you when I say this, I had this person, I had every single one of their movies all over my childhood bedroom, papered in posters. I recorded interviews that they did, every single interview they did on television. I created Photoshop collages of this person. I very much was like a 16-year-old, like I think I look hot in this like BB skirt, and like put like a little cutout of me sitting on this person's lap. I'm talking.
No, you gotta find that.
Ridiculous. Oh, you don't like, this is like collateral damage, dude. Not only was this person problematic then because of how old I was, but definitely problematic now, and that is the actor Kevin Spacey.
Of all the people.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey?
Yep. You have no idea. He was in a play. Okay, when American Beauty came out, and because I was a fan before, I looked it up and it was like, middle-aged man falls in love with 16-year-old girl. And I was like, yes, oh my God, I love it. Love, love, love. Then I watched the movie and I was like, oh, that is weird. That is like, I guess this is like kind of bad. The point is, you don't have to dig into my daddy issues. However, I understand he's not problematic now. When I first saw the Vanity Fair, the first time I saw his, like, obviously the accusations of him being a total creep and like creeping on young boys, Vanity Fair led with the headline, Kevin Spacey comes out of the closet. And this had been like 15 years since I was like a fan. And I was like, good for him. And I like posted on Facebook. I was like, oh my God, good for Kevin, like living his truth, da 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 da. Someone goes immediately down like, you need to read this article. And I was like, oh.
That's the worst case of not reading the article ever.
It's the worst case, the worst case.
Living his truth. Yes, king.
Yes, king.
Abuse those kids.
And then you're like, oh no, he just came out of the closet in order to run cover for the fact that he was like a total like pedophile or whatever, just and like a
sexual predator.
A sexual predator. No. Really bad stories. Awful. He's awful. He's terrible. He's in court right now.
I would not have predicted this one.
Of course not.
If you had an actor that you were obsessed with, I would have thought it was Tom Cruise or Mel Gibson or not Kevin Spacey.
Yo, I'm saying watch LA Confidential. He's hot as hell. Then you watch like even Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. He's hot. There's just like so many. I could name you all the movies. I had a poster of the grasshopper from A Bug's Life in my room because he voiced the grasshopper from A Bug's Life. The Negotiator. You guys, I have all these movies on DVD. I memorized every single one of them. Insane, sick. I went to New York to see him on Broadway. Guys, I had a problem.
You did.
But
you dodged a bullet.
It was before he was a creepo, supposedly.
Well, no, apparently he was actually a creepo back then. We just didn't know about it.
Yes, exactly.
He was doing it for a long time.
Well, I did.
Okay, wow. Okay, well, yeah, we got issues. We're gonna need to dig into that over time, I think. Anyway, my number one isn't up here because it's the most problematic, but it's the one that I've liked the most, but that is problematic. It's much better than it used to be, but for a very long time, and it was problematic despite trying so hard to be ahead of its time.
Okay.
And to be woke before we knew what woke was. And Whoopi Goldberg was on it in a very good role, actually. And it is Star Trek. Star Trek tries.
I was gonna say Hollywood Squares, but yeah.
No, yeah, that's funny. No, Star Trek. Look, a lot of the stuff, like when people say that like Star Trek has become too political, it's always a joke because it's always been political. It's always been about social issues and all that. In some ways that are good, and in some other ways, they've broached some topics that they did not handle particularly well. But I'm not even talking about that. It's the thing that's very common to a lot of sci-fi and common to a lot of fantasy, which is race stand-ins as alien species. Where like they have like an alien species that is very much Jewish people. Like they're funny characters, I guess, but they're clearly Jewish people. Or there is a culture that's very much like, if I'm being generous, Black people plus Native Americans, maybe just Black people, and that's and kind of maybe just an Asian alien species, and like Star Trek is not the only thing that's done this, but it was just that they tried to be so like they had the first interracial kiss, they had very diverse casts very early on before other shows are doing that, but despite that, the writers would have an entire race of people who are Jewish or whatever, and they're obsessed with money, and literally their entire culture is about acquiring profits, and it's like, oh God, don't do it, man.
Just so it was so ham-fisted, but you're so like, I get what you're trying to do, but could we make this could we smooth it out a bit?
Yeah, it's become much better in a lot of respects. And I still love it. Like I was watching Star Trek Voyager on my vacation, but yeah, there's some issues there. Anyway, those are 10 more of our problematic faves. I think now I think we could do a third because we're apparently digging into some deep-rooted stuff here.
You don't want to. All my tastes are perfect, just so you know.
Sure. We're gonna find out more. Anyway, we're gonna chat over an episode of House of Cards. Anyway, or K-Pax.
Oh God, I stopped at K-Pax. That was
okay. I thought I liked it anyway. Oh geez, okay. Oh man, that's reminding me of some other people that need to be on this list. Oh, I just thought of an actor. Anyway, thank you for supporting us, everyone, and making this possible, being members. Thank you, Francesca, for doing this. Really do appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And if you have ideas for top 10 lists, you can post them below. But for now, goodbye.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.